Hey everybody, my name is Tony. I am the collector. Today we're here with the movie geek, Craig. And guess what? Craig is also a writing geek. He just wrote a book and he's putting it out, short stories. Nothing you do matters. I don't know why that was hard.
It's okay, it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Actually, that's one of the things I was like preparing for the interview, and then I was like, you know what? I don't even know why I'm preparing, because nothing you do matters.
Exactly.
Where did this title come from?
Well, it really comes from the idea of nihilistic optimism, which is something I kind of got minorly obsessed with a little while ago. That being the idea that, as you can see, the cover is all like kind of outer space, but like the universe is a vast place, time is long, we are but blips on that scale, and so really nothing you do matters. So don't, as Trooper would say, like we're here for a good time, not a long time. So don't worry about it, right?
Okay, so now I read the story that nothing you do matters, and that's actually has more of a, I don't know, like a God thing going on with it as well, which was actually kind of a scary story for me.
How so?
Well, I felt kind of like it reminded me a lot about how horrible the world is, and about how horrible people are, and and the fact that just my religious backgrounds made it seem like it was kind of it was a spooky story, as far as like making me feel kind of sad inside.
Okay. Well, it's one of the comedy stories in the book, but that's okay. No, that's what it's for, right? It's to like inspire different feelings and everything.
Well, there you go. Not so funny for me, okay?
Yeah. So the idea in that story is that basically God, and not necessarily some white bearded guy in the sky, but like just somebody, is on Earth, and he's hanging out in front of this alley in Las Vegas, and he sees a murder that's about to happen, and he explains to the reader, why he doesn't step in and stop things like a mudslide or a sick child or things like that.
Yeah, and that is, to me, kind of a sad situation where you're pointing out all the the bad things about the world. That's how I got it. I don't think it was funny at all, Craig.
Well, hey, that's okay.
Let's move on to something that was funny. Across a crowded mall, which I thought was quite funny in the sense it really brought me back to the 90s. Now, is this something that happened to you?
No, but I will say I know there's a bit of crassness in some of these stories, so we have to kind of talk around some of that. Yeah. But the story, it's I'd call it like a soccer mom kind of, who goes to the mall, and she sees a guy that she went to high school with, and then later on in the story it flips to his point of view, and he sees her. Yeah. They went to high school together, and it was sort of came from the idea that like there are these rumors about just high school rumors, people that have rumors about them, and that's the only thing you really know about that person. You see them 30 years later, and that thing that you remember they said about them in high school sticks in your mind. So both of these characters sort of remember the rumors about each other, and then that sort of leads to comical results.
So is this something that you were involved in when you were younger? Do you remember this? Because a lot of stuff that you write about seems to be things that you could have actually been in, or I could have been in.
That particular story, no. Though I did know two people that had the rumors about them that are in the story. So they weren't necessarily friends of mine or anything. I just remembered those rumors, and it always just struck me like, do they even know that rumor is going around about them, and 30 years later that's how I'd even remember that person, is by that weird rumor. So, but you're right, there are a lot of things in the book that, and some of them, like the more crass things even, are things that I saw firsthand. It's still fiction, but it's like, you pull from what you know.
Okay, so right away here, you actually have the content warning. I noticed that right away. So right away, you're like, this isn't what I normally write. This was actually in your forward, actually, but also the content warning. This isn't what I normally write. You're not going to see what my normal writing. So what did you write before this, or what are you writing, now other than this stuff?
Well, I mean, like obviously I've had a career in media for the last 20, 25 years or so. So I think there's going to be really two kinds of people that know my writing. And one of them would be the kind that probably this would make more sense to, that read a lot of my, underground music writing and stuff in magazines like Planet S and things like that, or on CFCR Community Radio. And then there's another group of people that, read me in magazines like Saskatoon Home Magazine, or they hear me on the radio, or shows like Punch, where the content isn't, it's just more G-rated, I guess. So it might be somebody that's like, oh, that Craig Silliphant, he's such a nice guy, and then go to read the book and their hair turns white and they're like, what is this? Okay. But yeah.
Here's one, the Perils of Mexican Radio. The first thing I think of is the Wall of Voodoo. I don't know why I can't get that in my head now for the last 4 days. Mexican radio. But yeah, so I'm reading this, and it seems like a scary story. It really does seem like horrible things are going to happen to these people.
Yeah, totally. And that actually is, I wouldn't say it's a true story, but it definitely was based on, it was something that happened to my wife and I when we were in Mexico. So that guy radio was a real guy, fictionalized in the story, obviously, but like he was a real guy, and that situation really happened. We were in Mexico, and we were, just having dinner and drinks at a pub or whatever in a Mexican town, and this guy came up and started talking to us, and then he wanted to give us a ride home. And the story deals a bit with that sort of paranoia about travel safety, I guess you'd call that. And so it starts to seem like, oh my God, is this guy going to actually kill us or something? And it is a funny story, but it does have that like.
It's really well written because it actually had me. Again, I didn't find it funny. I was scared. I was actually scared for the people. I was like, hey, anything's going to happen. Is this something going to happen? Because that's how you kind of you're brought up in a way that you're scared of things like that happening. So you just assume things like that are going to happen. So yeah. Okay.
I feel like we need to get this guy some counseling or something. Do you need a hug?
No, I'm fine. Okay, here we go. The problems with space exploration. Okay, so that's pretty much, is this a Star Trek kind of like fan thing, or do you actually hate Star Trek? 'Cause
No, I love Star Trek.
It could go either way.
I love Star Trek. And so that one was the idea. It's actually a very short story. It's like super short. It's the shortest story in the book. And it's just a sort of almost a one-note joke that I knew I couldn't really build a whole thing around. But the idea that if you've watched a lot of Star Trek, which I know you have, every episode is like somebody's kind of going crazy. They touch something on a space station, and now they came back to it, and it's like they're going crazy, and they're doing weird things at the console, and everybody sees them kind of do it, and they're like, what's up with that guy? I don't know, and they kind of go back around their business. But if they've really followed up on some of these things, less horrible things would happen to the Enterprise and its crew. So that was sort of the idea behind it, is that these things happen, and they sort of just ignore them until they spiral out of control.
And that is why I think you do not like Star Trek. Because when I read it, I think you're just lying about the Star Trek. Because when I read it, you were very much like, these are things that happen, and like, oh, this is, these things shouldn't happen. And I'm like thinking, yeah, this guy hates Star Trek.
Yeah, no, love Star Trek. But I can also poke fun at things I love, right? And find the things that are funny about them.
Yeah, so I think I'm actually taking the book way differently than I think you thought most people would take it.
This is the strangest interview I've ever had.
Well,
I like it.
I just look at things maybe a little different. Like I looked at Nothing You Do Matters, and the first thing I thought was like, yeah, I agree with that. But then as I start reading things, I'm like, I really care about a lot of the things in your story. So I think actually a lot of things in your story I do care about.
Good. Well, that's good. I mean, the idea even that nothing you do matters, like I said, that idea can terrify you that we're so small in the universe, or it can set you free. It doesn't mean you have license to go hurt people or do bad things. It just means you don't have to worry about that girl that broke up with you in high school, or that thing, that happened to you last week, or the time your boss yelled at you. It's like, just focus on yourself and what what you love and the people you love,
I 100% agree. Yeah, but I don't even care about the people I love. I'm just super selfish. So, okay, we're going to
that's what you can do too.
End it up here. Thank you very much for holding the mic.
Yeah, we can't. We're not coordinated enough to.
I've never had the mic so close to my mouth, by the way. It's very close. All right, everybody. Thanks, Craig.
Thank you.
Book is Nothing You Do Matters.
If you want to get your hands on a copy of Craig's book, you can do so through his website, craigsilliphant.com, or you can find it at Turning the Tide or Amazing Stories.